Hi, I'm Nate Adams, CEO and co-founder of HVAC 2.0. Welcome back to onboarding, and we are talking about sweet spot thinking. We're going to tackle part 2 here, which is whole home diagnostics. So this is not looking at just a box or one small component. This is stepping back and looking at the whole house and typically what tend to be complex, interconnected problems. And again, when it comes to the principles of 2.0, this is discussing finding the sweet spot. So this is going to happen again and again and again through this. So get used to it, inject it into your thinking, apply it in other parts of your life. And hopefully watching this series will help you see that and do that. All right, so here's how this works. I want to take a look at this from a medical perspective because that's really what we're doing in HVAC 2.0. We serve as doctors for houses. So I want to set the stage here. Imagine you haven't been to the doctor for 15 years and you're going in for a checkup. Something's a little bit wrong. You'd like to try and figure out what it is, but you haven't been to the doctor for years. You don't know them. They don't know you. So you have to start from nothing. So to apply that same S-curve, so talking about diagnostics, there's inadequate, sweet spot, and overkill. So this is looking at the first visit. This is a physical. This is not advanced diagnostics. This is the first time you go see the doctor in a long time. And this makes sense because most houses have never seen a doctor. They don't know a home performance specialist, which is what you are going to become through this process. So what they end up with is they can guess, which you really don't want a doctor guessing. They can give you a visual exam, which it can tell them a surprising amount. So I don't want to say that that's inconsequential, and that's why it's on the vertical part. So maybe it doesn't tell them a lot. Maybe it tells them quite a bit. But I wouldn't want to just have somebody guess and do a visual inspection and take their diagnosis. I would like to understand more. So the sweet spot is what they do when you go in for a physical. They take your height, they take your weight, they take your blood pressure, and then they give you an interview. Why are you here today? What have you noticed? Tell me about your family history. Is there anyone else who has had cancer or strokes or whatever it might be? They're trying to get a baseline of what's going on so that they can determine what the next steps are. What they don't do is very seldom are you going to go in for a physical and have them immediately do MRI, blood tests, CAT scans, etc. They're certainly not going to do those first. So it's not going to be like, hey, I haven't seen anybody in 15 years. Yeah, step in here. We're going to put you in the MRI. That's not how it works. That's an advanced diagnostic. So you don't do that right off. So the simple tests of height, weight, blood pressure, and doing the interview, those tests determine the direction of further diagnostics. And that's really, really important to get your head around. I see lots of pissing matches about this. I can't stand it. You aren't going to do the advanced crap. You're just not. You don't come out of the box doing this. Doctors don't come out of the box doing this. So these more advanced tests, these only get done after initial diagnosis. So they need to understand what direction are things going to go, what problem is there, what should we try, and then we'll go do some diagnostics next. So let's apply the same thing to whole home diagnostics. Again, this is like the physical. This is the first time there. No one has tried to help this house out in years and years, if ever. So guessing obviously is still inadequate. Or we can look at it visually, which it can tell you a lot. I mean, you can look at a system, pull the door off, and just a quick visual check, you can understand quite a bit. But that's not going to be enough for whole home diagnostics at all, and probably not for fixing the box either. You're going to need some sort of a tool to measure. What we find the sweet spot is running a blower door test and doing infrared, if the weather will allow, static pressure testing, basic zonal, and you'll hear about advanced zonal. That's no, not yet. And then a thorough interview. The more advanced testing, duct leakage with a duct blaster, advanced zonal where you're taping things off. There's all sorts of different techniques, add a hole, lots of other things that you can do out there to test a house to figure out what's going on. You don't do these until you do these. So until you get a baseline on a house, you don't know what direction further diagnosis is going to go. So same thing. I use the same words as the medical side. So these advanced tests, they only happen after initial diagnosis. So when you do a comfort consult, you're going to understand whether a house is really screwed up or not. And if it's screwed up, in what way do you think it's screwed up so that you can suggest what tests to do? And if you are going to do any of those tests, you will do it as part of the CPP, the comprehensive planning process. If you do it at all, so like the advanced zonal thing, it's driving me up the wall. So comprehensive planning process, you're probably going to do on 3% of calls that come in. So if 100 leads come in, maybe 3 of them are going to go CPP. And of those, only a small fraction of them really need to do this. Like if you want to understand if the ductwork's leaky, put a pressure pan up against the ceiling. With the blower door up, turn the blower on and see if the pressure goes positive or negative in the house, which will tell you whether it's a supply-dominated or return-dominated leak. There's really simple ways to get an idea of where the issue is. And here's the other thing. You can test this stuff and figure out all this advanced stuff, but if you just do a good job, so if you run them through the CPP and they take a really solid swing at the house, it'll get fixed. You don't have to diagnose it. It's like, I personally really hate doing CAS testing, combustion appliance zone testing. I don't like testing the water heaters and seeing if they're okay. I can't stand natural draft water heaters because at least half the time they fail one of those tests. So I don't want to test a unit that's there that I know is getting changed out. It doesn't matter. I want to know if it's going to kill them or hurt them, so I want to run something quick and basic, but I don't need to put it through a full battery of tests only to rip that out. This is the same thing with most of these advanced techniques. If you sell a job that's going to do a good job, like the duct leakage, do you really need to know what the duct leakage is of the existing duct system? Because most of the time when you're going to be having duct leakage issues, it's going to be outside the envelope. And the odds are high you're going to replace the duct system when you do it anyway. So it doesn't matter what it leaks. So this is something to keep in mind, and you can see and hear my frustration about this subject. This is dumb. And we're going to come up on just that in a minute. So look at the bottom here. So I changed the labels: inadequate, sweet spot, overkill, or dumb, smart, dumb. Advanced diagnostics tend to be dumb because they will confuse clients and you won't sell anything. So mark my words. If you do, please run a case study. I want to understand how you do it. But I know a lot of people that are really good diagnosticians who don't sell work. And like I said, an unexecuted treatment plan and a dead patient are stupid. So not a good thing. So like I went over in the last video, there's practical intelligence, street smarts, creative intelligence, which is pulling things together, and analytical intelligence. What we're trying to do in 2.0 is mix the practical and the analytical, but find the balance in between them. So we don't want you to just be a mechanic. We want you to serve as an engineer. This is not a hard jump to make when you make some mindset shifts, which this onboarding series is built to help you make that mindset shift. Don't become a hyper nerd, though. This is gonna make your life hard, and you won't sell anything and you won't fix anything. Don't over complexify. So this is really key. We have to ride the middle here. This is that sweet spot. We need to be right where the second inflection point happens. And doing this, so you notice budget goals in the house, this is what you're doing at the comfort consult. You're understanding what are their goals, what's their budget, and what does their house need. And when you do that, you can understand what the next step looks like and whether or not it's going to cross. So this we will adjust, and this will say sweet spot in the middle, not just viable project. So if we can get those to work and get those to cross, life is good. All right. And so applying the same thing, we've got heating and cooling. So we're going to apply these labels here, heating and cooling, HVAC 2.0, and home performance to this chart. Heating and cooling, when you're talking whole home diagnostics, you're doing guessing or visual. You're not actually doing the testing that you need to do. HVAC 2.0 gets you to do the testing that you need to do to understand what the next steps are. And then home performance, that's getting to where it's too far. And you're very likely to unsell a job. And I will repeat, if someone sounds really impressive, they're a really good diagnostician, let's see their case studies. I want to see their work. You want to see before and after numbers for projects. That's how you know if things got done. And that's it for this time around. So that's Sweet Spot Thinking Part 2 about whole home diagnostics. So I'll see you next time when I will tackle another subject, and we're going to do a few more of these. Thanks again. I'm Nate Adams. Have a great day. Bye-bye.